What if the key to true strength isn't in avoiding pain, but in embracing it? Marcus Aurelius, one of the most powerful men in history, was forged in the fires of suffering, betrayal, and loss. In this video, we'll unravel the dark, brutal truth behind his rise, and how his struggles can teach you to become unshakable. Are you ready to find out what it really takes to become a legend? Chapter 1. The Weight of a Crown. Power is a cage. A golden one perhaps, but a prison nonetheless. Most men dream of ruling, of sitting atop the world, their names etched into history. But Marcus Aurelius understood something they didn't. Power isn't a gift. It's a slow, crushing weight. A burden that bends even the strongest spines. From the moment he ascended the throne, he was drowning in wolves disguised as allies. Senators who smiled while sharpening daggers. Generals who spoke of loyalty but lusted for war. His empire stretched across continents, yet he was the loneliest man in Rome. And worse, the real enemies weren't outside the gates. They were inside the city, inside his own home. His own son, Commodus, the boy who should have been his legacy, wasn't fit to rule. A weak, power-hungry mind. A disgrace in the making. And yet, the bloodline demanded he pass the torch to a man who would burn Rome to the ground. That was the reality of being emperor. A man with absolute power, yet no freedom at all. History remembers Marcus Aurelius as the last great ruler of Rome. A philosopher king. A warrior saint. But what they don't tell you is the suffering it took to wear that title. The nights spent haunted by treachery. The endless battles, not just against enemies but against himself. You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this and you will find strength. Marcus Aurelius. And that's the first lesson. The world will betray you. Friends will turn. Enemies will rise. They will try to break you, to own you, to strip you down until there's nothing left. But your mind? That's the last kingdom. The only empire that no man, no war, no betrayal can ever take from you. Chapter 2. The Loneliness of a King. Men are not meant to feel weak. Society has drilled it into their bones. Be strong, never break, never show pain. But what happens when the strongest man in the world is forced to carry an empire on his shoulders, knowing that no one, not even those closest to him, can share the weight? Marcus Aurelius wasn't just the emperor of Rome, he was its soul, the rock, the foundation. And yet, as the empire bled out in wars and rebellions, the man himself bled in silence. Every battle he fought in the foreign lands mirrored the internal wars he waged within his own heart. His empire was at war on every front, both external and internal. He watched as his closest allies, those he trusted most, betrayed him. But what cut deepest was the unspoken betrayal of his own family. He lost his beloved wife Faustina, not just to illness but to something darker. A cold, gnawing suspicion that betrayal had been involved in her death. His children, his blood, were lost to the unthinkable. He buried more children than any man should ever have to, each loss a wound that never fully healed, never fully scabbed over. He had no one to mourn with. His soul carried the weight of the world, but he stood alone in the darkest hours of the night. And then there was his son, Commodus, a child born of his blood but not of his spirit, a boy who would grow into a tyrant, a disgrace to everything his father fought for. Marcus Aurelius, the greatest philosopher of his time, knew his son was destined to destroy the empire he had built. Yet all he could do was watch as his own flesh and blood became a future monster. Still, through it all, Marcus endured. He did not break. Pain for most men would turn them bitter. It would burn them from the inside out. It would break them into something unrecognizable. But Marcus Aurelius, he let it forge him. It didn't turn him cold or weak. It didn't break his will, it made him unshakable. It is not death that a man should fear, but he should fear never beginning to live. Marcus Aurelius. The dark truth is this: suffering is the price of greatness. It's the crucible in which a man is shaped. Every great man in history, the kings, the conquerors, the warriors, was forged in the fire of suffering. Every powerful man you admire, every legend you worship, was broken in some way. They were torn apart by loss, betrayal, defeat, and they let it transform them into something far beyond what they ever imagined themselves to be. If life is breaking you, if it feels like the weight of the world is too much to bear, good. That means you're being molded. You're being shaped into something that will never bend, never break, and never be forgotten. Chapter 3: The Battle No One Saw. History remembers the battles Marcus Aurelius fought against the Germanic tribes, the blood-drenched legions, the frozen battlefields where men fell in droves like forgotten soldiers. These are the wars that echoed through the halls of Rome, celebrated in songs, legends, and history books. They tell of his strength, his leadership, his tactical brilliance. But the real war? The one that shaped him more than any external conflict? That battle was fought within. What the world didn't see, what the records don't tell you, is the invisible enemy that stalked him every waking moment. Himself, his mind, his own doubts, the crushing weight of his crown, of his responsibilities, the temptation to just give in, to let the pressure of ruling an empire destroy him. Every day, Marcus Aurelius was on the edge of a cliff, staring down into a dark abyss. And the only thing that kept him from falling? The same thing that had created his greatness, the iron discipline of his mind. It's easy to think of the emperor as a stoic figure, unmoved by the tides of fate, untouchable in his wisdom. But Marcus Aurelius wasn't born wise. He became wise through the agony of constant battle, not against an enemy but against the darker parts of himself. The part of him that wanted to break, to escape the madness of it all. The part of him that wanted to abandon everything and let the weight of his power crush him. But he fought it. He fought every day. They called him the philosopher king, and for good reason. But let's be clear, wisdom doesn't come from comfort. Wisdom is born from suffering. And for Marcus, that suffering was not just the weight of empire, but the war inside his soul. His most powerful weapon wasn't his sword or his legions. It was his mind. A mind that refused to surrender, no matter how deep the darkness became. The soul becomes dyed with the color of its thoughts. Marcus Aurelius. This is the truth. Dark thoughts are the breeding ground for weakness. Fear, doubt, regret, anger. These are the thoughts that consume men, that destroy their resolve, that turn giants into shadows. When a man allows these thoughts to take over, he becomes enslaved by them. He becomes a puppet of his emotions, a victim of his own mind. But Marcus Aurelius understood something few ever truly do. Control your mind or be enslaved by it. He turned his thoughts into a weapon. His doubts? Fuel. His pain? Fuel. His isolation? Fuel. He didn't run from the darkness. He embraced it. He didn't try to bury his suffering. He used it to sharpen his resolve. Every painful thought, every creeping fear, every ounce of his suffering, he turned it into strength. It's easy to look at a man like Marcus Aurelius and think he was immune to the darkness. But that's a lie. He wasn't immune. He just refused to let it control him. He didn't ignore the pain. He didn't suppress the rage. He confronted it, and in doing so he mastered it. Chapter 4: The Unforgiving Truth About Life. Men yearn for fairness. They crave justice, a sense that if they just do what's right, the universe will reward them. It's a comforting lie, one we tell ourselves to make sense of the chaos around us. But Marcus Aurelius, perhaps the greatest emperor Rome ever had, knew the painful truth that few men will ever come to understand. Life is not just unfair. It is relentlessly indifferent. He fought for Rome, sacrificed everything he had, gave up his peace, and bled his soul to keep the empire strong. He ruled with honor and with an unwavering commitment to virtue. Yet despite all of it, the years of war, the endless battles against corruption, the weight of a decaying empire on his shoulders, Rome still slipped from his grasp. The very system he had devoted himself to protecting was rotting from the inside, consumed by greed, betrayal, and decadence. And then came the darkest betrayal of all, his son Commodus. A man he loved, a man he tried to guide, who turned into a tyrant, a monster that was the antithesis of everything Marcus stood for. The empire's future, the legacy he had spent his life trying to preserve, was handed over to a man who destroyed it with his own hands. Marcus' reward for all his toil? A broken empire and a tarnished name. But here's the thing about Marcus Aurelius: he never let it break him. He could have given up. He could have blamed the world for his suffering. After all, wasn't it his right to expect a just world, a world that would honor his sacrifices? But he didn't. He never did. True strength, Marcus understood, isn't about winning. It's not about achieving the glory or the fame or the recognition we think we deserve. It's about something much darker. True strength is the ability to endure, to keep moving forward even when the world has already moved against you. True strength is about refusing to let the world break you, to make you its victim, even when everything seems stacked against you. Waste no more time arguing about what a good man should be. Be one. Marcus Aurelius. This is the unforgiving truth. Life doesn't care about your struggles. It doesn't care about your sacrifices, your righteousness, or your sense of justice. The world will grind you down, take what it wants from you, and leave you wondering why you even bothered. But the question isn't whether life will reward you, it's whether you'll give up when it doesn't. And Marcus Aurelius didn't. He fought, not because he thought he would win, but because that was the only way to remain true to himself. Even when faced with failure, betrayal, and the collapse of everything he had built, he didn't surrender. He kept fighting. The world is brutal, cold, and indifferent. That's the truth Marcus Aurelius lived by. But it's also the truth that made him unbreakable. True men, the ones who rise above the chaos, don't do so because they win every battle. They rise because they refuse to be crushed by life's unrelenting cruelty. They fight anyway. Chapter 5: The Final Lesson. Marcus Aurelius is remembered as the last great emperor of Rome. Not because he had the most power or the most influence or even the most victories. No. He is remembered as the greatest because he was the most unshakable. In a world where men are driven by ambition, by the desire for glory, comfort, and recognition, Marcus stood apart. He didn't live for those things. He didn't chase after fame or riches. He didn't even crave peace. Instead, he welcomed the storm. The trials, the betrayal, the suffering, he embraced them all. To him, they weren't setbacks. They were opportunities. Every moment of pain was a chance to become stronger. What set Marcus apart wasn't his ability to conquer nations, but his ability to conquer himself. He didn't allow his circumstances to define him. He didn't let external forces shape his sense of self-worth. He understood the ultimate truth. Life would break him again and again, but the secret wasn't in avoiding it. It was in becoming strong enough to endure it. The world has a way of testing men. It pushes them to the edge. It mocks them, humiliates them, and then waits to see if they will rise. But Marcus didn't need the world to give him validation. He found his validation within himself. He didn't search for an easy life. Instead, he strengthened his mind, his character, and his resolve until he could stand tall amidst the chaos of the world. So ask yourself, will you let the world break you? Will you bend and crumble under the weight of every failure, every betrayal, every injustice? Or will you, like Marcus, become unshakable? Will you become a man who faces life head-on, standing tall in the face of adversity, unyielding and unbroken no matter what the world throws at you? Look well into yourself. There is a source of strength which will always spring up if you will always look. Marcus Aurelius. This is the final lesson Marcus left us with. True strength comes from within. It's not a strength that is cultivated by victories or accolades. It's not a strength that can be seen by others, not a strength that is validated by the world. It is the strength that comes from your mind, from your soul, from your unrelenting will to endure no matter the storm. The choice is yours. Will you be a man of glory, or will you be a man of fortitude? Will you seek comfort, or will you choose the painful path that forges greatness? Only the strongest men ever learn the truth. They do not seek the easy life. They become strong enough to endure the hard one. And in that strength, they become legends. The choice is yours. If this video inspired you, hit that subscribe button. Because next time, we're diving even deeper into the minds of history's strongest men, and uncovering how their struggles, their pain, and their resilience can shape your own power. Don't miss it. Stay ready to conquer.